Hey there, citizens of the internet. I happened across this this beef between comedians that happened about a year ago, and I missed it. I just found out about it because of the YouTube algorithm. So originally I was going to do one of my versus videos where I kind of be like Tim Dillon versus Michael Shea to talk about this, but it's such an old beef that I didn't want to kind of, seem like a vulture who was riding off the beef. But I really like a lot of the commentary in this, especially some of the things that my man Tim Dillon says. So I figured, hey, I'm just going to put together a video and walk through this clip because it's got some pretty brilliant commentary in it. So the first piece here, Tim kind of talks about how Saturday Night Live has devolved, and I could not agree more. So listen to this a little bit.
Propaganda, it literally is people that worked on Hillary Clinton's failed presidential run are writing these sketches. They're so lazy and bad that people are shocked. I like SNL. I said, and I've defended it, I'm like, I think it's funny. I think it was funny last week and had a few funny things. I watched sketches online.
It does. Last Christmas was a Christmas sketch that I saw. That, people were posting it like it was cringe, and I was like, it was the one where the mom only gets a robe every year for Christmas, and it was funny. It was funny. Listen, it made me laugh.
I get in real trouble because I try to make a nuanced point, where I'm like, the show's funny, but the reality is when they do this type of stuff, which is so transparently this just political low-hanging fruit. Joe Rogan didn't take horse medication. Yeah. That's been disproven. It's discredited.
Yeah, it's not
true.
Embarrassing at this point to almost say.
It's embarrassing to say.
He has a bag of them like they're M&Ms.
Yeah, so keep on playing the sketch.
So he's right. They're doing a comedy bit around a debunked political talking point that was ran in the mainstream press about ivermectin. However, whatever you think or believe about it, the reality is it's a drug that was used as an antiviral long before COVID and all over the world. And the maker of it won a Nobel Prize. So say whatever you want, but that's all beside the point. What Tim's saying here is it's literally ex-Hillary Clinton campaign staffers probably that worked for SNL. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case at all. So then he talks about how he kind of made fun of the sketch because, first of all, he's a friend of Joe Rogan's, obviously, but second of all, he's right. It was lazy. It wasn't well done. Listen.
I didn't. I said the show, right? Because I don't mean everybody on the show, but I mean the show kind of speaks with one voice, right? Yeah. It just does, and that's lazy. And I know Joe. He's a friend of mine. He did not take horse medication. He's worth $500 million or something. I don't think he's taking animal medication. And it's just, I'm like, dude, I make fun of Joe. I do the best imitation of Joe that's ever been done.
Well, I said that yesterday. I was like, Tim's not defending Joe Rogan or defending the idea of making fun of Joe.
Make fun of him.
Tim makes fun of Joe better than anybody makes fun of Joe. You do it really well.
It's funny. And ivermectin's funny. It's all funny, right?
You could do good jokes about it. They didn't, though.
Sketch that would be really, really funny. I just said that's lazy. And by the way, my Twitter, I don't ever know what gets ignored and what doesn't. Right. That's the way Twitter is. You tweet 10 things,
it's true.
And then you go to the Cheesecake Factory, and then halfway through, you look at your phone and you go, oh, man, something either... I've said wild shit about that show, about everything. And people don't care. This one, they cared. I looked at it 40,000.
So the tweet went viral, and I'm assuming Michael Che saw it. And had issue with it. So Che, who doesn't use Twitter, uses Instagram.
Yeah.
So you guys are on different platforms speaking about each other or / to each other because you're both seeing it. Everyone's sending it to each other.
It's all one platform these days, right?
It really is. It's just your phone and you're looking at it, but we're convincing ourselves that it's different houses that you're in.
It's weird. Yeah,
very silly. But you're both seeing this. So Che,
what's funny about him is I like him.
Yeah, me too.
Matt,
this
is cool. What they say about
people in the world who will still come and do shows like Legion of Skanks. I think Jay's a good dude.
I agree
and he's
with
funny.
him on a lot of things, right? Like, I agree with a lot of what he says. What I think happened was that got under his skin, what I said. And he hit back at me and basically was like, Tim Dillon tried comedy, got nowhere. Then he became a media personality, but don't get fresh or whatever. And this is I don't care if it's a zillion.
Somebody messaged him that he makes $190K a month on Patreon. I don't care if it's a zillion. I know Tim Dillon, and he ain't what you think he is. He's a sweet, humble guy who really tried at stand-up, got nowhere, became a media personality because it's much easier, and we're all very happy for him, but don't get fresh, Tim. So let me defend you here, Tim, because it's very... I mean, you've been doing comedy, what, like 12 years, 13 years?
12 years, yeah.
I mean... That's a fucking... You've had a pretty good... Like, you did...
I mean, listen, I mean, it's like...
I'm not going to say you're not fast-tracked, but you've gotten famous at a pace where it's like, no, you paid your dues for a decade, and very recently you hit something that you got a bunch of fans, and you're crushing it right now with stand-up. Tim also, to defend you, is a murderer on stage. You murder on fucking stage.
Well, thank you. I mean...
Enough praise of Tim Dillon.
I just didn't get...
And also, Che knows. And I know Che.
Yeah.
Che knows that sketch sucked cock. That sketch sucked.
That's the problem.
He should be going like, yeah, Tim, you're right. That sketch sucked cock.
That is what it is right there. That's the thing. He got defensive about it instead of just admitting it was garbage. Like, the actual sketch itself was not funny. And I mean, I can laugh at Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan, but he can laugh at himself. All these guys are comedians. They all have senses of humor. Joe Rogan, Tim Dillon caps on Joe Rogan all the time and doesn't. It's interesting how politics has warped everything so much. I think that's the thing that really stuck out to me about this is these are all comedians. They sit there and praise Michael Shea at the beginning. I love Michael Shea. Anyway, the political conversation has been kind of sprinkled into everything in this country, and it's like everything has politics in it now. You know, that's why I'm here talking about it. Everything is politicized, and it's terrible. And Saturday Night Live, let's be honest, has been terrible for a long time. They'll have one or two standout sketches now and then, but for the most part, I was lucky. I watched it in the 90s when it was like Chris Rock, David Spade, Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman. It was just top tier in those days. But it has not, for me, been at that level for a long time. And they do funny stuff, and these guys say that too. But anyway, these last couple clips. So Tim sums it up so well right here. What Saturday Night Live has become, and I'll just let him say it because he says it far better than I ever could.
Weird schizophrenic way to look at the world, I think.
Yeah.
And I think comes from the realization that, like, this is not good. Comics know that it's not good. In fact, the only people truly enjoying that show right now are people that tune into it to hear their politics reflected back to them.
Right.
You can hear it in the audience. You can hear "yes" in the audience. Every sketch. How many sketches now are just people sitting down and going, "Here's the way the world is." Yeah. And then the fucking Daily Beast reading ribeye size steak feet, flat wearing beast women in the crowd go, "Yeah!" And their gay boyfriend sits next to them and goes, "This is fun." Yeah. It's not about comedy. It's a cult.
Yeah.
It's a weird cult. Yeah. You know?
Well, I mean, look, I really do. I like Jay.
I like him too. I mean, listen, we've never had an issue. We don't really even have one now.
He's
allowed to have an opinion.
It was just kind of, well, you know what it was? It was like...
I love that. We don't really have one now. But there's a point where they talk about something that I thought was so cool. They talk about the ability to be your own boss, kind of.
Happy for him, but don't get fresh, Tim. So,
or the definition of success. Let me see if I can find this clip.
Outside of the realm of what's rational to say, like, everybody who succeeded in this, for the most part, is in the media to a degree. Like, we're all like, I mean, we are all to some degree.
Also, not for nothing, you don't. For the most part, you don't have a boss. You don't have anybody to answer to.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, we all have little things that we have to do
and whatever. Yeah.
But Che's playing a different game, and this is not a knock on Che.
No.
But Che is look, if I'm choosing a career, obviously I tried it all. I would have loved to get on SNL. I would have loved to be an actor, and I'd love to have all that. I gave that up a long time ago. But if I'm choosing a career, I want to have complete freedom. Success, in my opinion, is not answering to anybody, not having a fucking boss, being able to get up and do what you want to do. And I look at you, and I look at guys like Ari. There's a lot of guys out there that varying levels of success. Yeah. But in my opinion, it's true success. It's pure success because you guys are legitimately doing what you want to do.
The way I look at it is, listen.
That is key right there, what Louis just said. I think that's so cool. That to me is what's really cool about the internet right now, is you can make a brand out of yourself and make a little cash. Like do what you want to do. If you're providing something that's relevant. I mean, people do it on TikTok all the time. People have been doing it on YouTube even before that. It's a cool time to be alive in that sense of the word. And it's obvious that some of the bitterness there is that, these guys are all talking. Tim especially is talking about it. He talks about how, and I'm not going to play the clip or anything, but he talks about how he had the opportunity to have a show on Comedy Central, I think, that fell through. And he's glad it did because now he kind of has built his own success and his own career path and has complete control of his destiny in a way that he may not have had he got the Comedy Central show. So anyway, rather than make this the Michael Shea versus Tim Dillon episode, I thought it was a much more cutting commentary on Saturday Night Live and just the state of corporate media. I think people are done with that. Just to give a quick example, I love Danny Brown's podcast, or the Danny Brown show that he does on Tom Segura and his wife's network, Your Mom's House. But then he also does a show on Vice that's scripted, and it just seems so contrived. I can't help it. I mean, I love Danny Brown, and I just watched one that had LP, who I really like. But it's night and day when you see these kind of like the way that the media used to work versus how it works now. It's a totally different ball game thanks to technology. Thank you, Steve Jobs.